Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to another episode. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and yes, I've got a haircut as well since the last time. And I mean, I wasn't planning on doing one to be honest this week until later, but I mean, it's been a crazy weekend in some ways. It's been interesting, and with the European Super League announced, I mean, you just have to do one, right? Everybody has got an opinion on it, some positive, some negative, and I mean, I just wanted to be here as well to share that. And I mean, it's for those of you who've been living on the rock. This team announced that six Premier League clubs, three La Liga clubs, three Serie A clubs. That's a total of 12 founding clubs have formed the European Super League, a 20-team league that will have 15 founding members and five which who will play every season no matter what it would seem, and five teams that will come in and out based on some sort of qualification criteria that nobody knows about as of now. So uh, my assumption, of course, is that the 15 founding members, they also wanted the three others was Bayern, PSG, and probably Dortmund or Ajax or one of those teams to come in as well along with these 12, but that hasn't happened yet. But it has been announced, and I mean, I don't want to get into the whole to what the tournament looks like, what the criteria is, as my video is acting all off for some reason today. But I mean, I don't want to get into that at the moment, but I did want to talk about what it means as a whole for European football and for football in general. I think um, I mean, I don't I, you know it's hard to know where to start, really. I mean, my opinion on this is that it was inevitable. I mean, they've been talking about it for 30 years now, since 1990, since the 90s apparently, and the Champions League has always felt like a compromise from that point on, to try to avoid that situation. And I mean, anybody who wants a history of how the Champions League has evolved since 1992, they can do a Google search. I mean, it might make this video way too long if I went into the history of that, but it's always felt like a compromise. And then for some reason, this weekend, a few of the teams decided that, you know what, we've had enough and we want to get out. And I don't know why that has happened, but the only reason so far that people have told me this happening is money, right? And I always look back and think, well, how much more money do these people really need? I mean, you're talking about people that are earning millions and millions of dollars, clubs that have budgets that are more than what nations can budgets have, right? I mean, some nations, not all nations, but some nations don't even have the amount of money that teams pay on transfer fees. So why? What is the need for more money? Where does this need for more money come from, aside from greed? I mean, and the more I use the word need, it's actually greed. Where does this greed come from, and why do they need it? And to another point, I mean, like it's just baffling. But anyway, let's go into the whole situation and let's talk a little bit through it. And maybe by the end of this, the people who are saying, well, I support this European Super League, maybe you'll understand where people who are saying we don't want a Super League are coming from. And I'm happy to try to understand where people who are saying that we want a Super League are coming from. But so far, and I'll explain what I felt there. But so far, I've not seen convincing arguments for it. But we'll see where we go with this. So to begin with, I am against a European Super League for the main reason that I don't care what they call it. They could call it, the European Super League. They can call it the European Winners League. They can call it whatever they want. But at the end of the day, what is the criteria for these 12 or 20 teams playing in this competition? What is the criteria? Why are these 12 founding members founding members? What gives them the right to play in this competition without allowing anybody else? What have Arsenal or Liverpool, or not Liverpool, but what have Arsenal, Spurs, or even AC Milan done in the last decade to deserve being in this competition? What have they done? Right? What have they done on the European stage? What have they done on the domestic stage? I mean, what have they done to deserve being in this competition? They're in the competition because they can bring in a lot of fans and bring in money, right? Is that the reason why? Is that the reason why football should be played? Because teams can make money. I mean, I mean, you can even include Manchester United in that. What have they done in the last decade? Or so to deserve being in this competition, aside maybe from winning a few cups. They are fair enough. They won the Europa League, but aside from that, what have they done in Europe? Nothing. They're at the top level. The Champions League, they've sucked. And let's be honest. I mean, I defend and they've sucked in the Champions League. So why are they there? So that's one thing, is this arbitrary nature of deciding who gets in and who gets out. Secondly, it's not about who gets out. It's always going to be in. Like, what's the consequence for one of the founding members playing badly season? What happens? Nothing, right? They stay in it. Next season, other different teams will come in. So what's the point, right? Well, what you watch football knowing that part of the football is fun of seeing your team go up and having a chance at winning trophies or achieving something. But part of football is also that trepidation, that fear of missing out, of like, if we play badly, we're not going to be in at a level that we are at next season. Like if we play badly, we're not going to be in the Champions League next season. If we play badly, we're not going to be in the Europa League next season. That's taken out now, right? When you have a European Super League, that's taken out, right? I mean, you could play as badly as you want. You know you're going to be in the next season anyway. So after a certain point, teams were like, well, you know what, this competition is over. Let's just now let's rest our key players, and let's not get them injured, right? So you're gonna have a lot of debt rubbers with that. What's the point, right? What's the there has to be the reward for doing well, but there also has to be the risk for not doing well, and I don't think that's there in this competition. So I mean, it's just arbitrary. Everything feels like a cash grab, right? That's what it is, a cash grab. Because when you think about it, the main argument that everybody is making is it's going to be more money for teams. Well, fair enough, there's going to be more money, but what's the point of that money? I mean, the clubs are already making more money than they know what to do with it, which is evidenced by the fact that teams go and spend hundreds of millions of pounds on crap players anyway. Uh, so what's the point of more money? If the point of making more money is that football is going to be more accessible, that you're going to have subscription prices or TV prices are going to be low, or you're going to have a situation where attendance prices for those who want to attend games is going to be low, that's fine, right? That's a wonderful benefit. But we know that's not going to happen. You and I, anybody who's watching the show, anybody who knows football knows that's not going to happen, right? The motto is either to stand still when it comes to pricing, is either to stand still or to increase. It's never to decrease, right? We live in a situation where people celebrate the fact that prices have remained the same for 4 or 5 years. Why? And yet the clubs are making more and more money through TV deals. So that's not going to change. So what's the point? So what is the benefit for me as a fan to think that my club is going to make more money? Because I know they're not going to put that money into football. They're not going to put that money back to the fans. No, they're going to keep it for themselves. I mean, and then when you look at the names of the people that are running this show, right? I mean, you've got Andrea Agnelli, who's one of the vice chairs. He is the president of Juventus. And I mean, let's talk about the fact that Juventus, Inter Milan, and AC Milan, three teams that together were the perpetrators of Calciopoli, the main players, maybe not the perpetrators, but the main players of Calciopoli that destroyed the Serie A just for their own personal, individual ambitions, by the way. Inter Milan were the ones who actually instigated that operation, Calciopoli, and Juventus and Milan were the ones who were the main culprits who got caught in that. And because of that, Serie A was set back by years. And then Inter, just so that also that Inter could win a few league titles and pad their stats. So they won a few league titles, and then Juventus, once they came back with a vengeance, and now they've just taken over and they won the last 9 league titles. Funny how this year is the year that they implement the Super League, when Juventus are now fourth in La Liga, by the way. Right now they're fourth in La Liga. And funny how things work out, right? So I mean, so you've got a person who's a vice chair of a competition when he's been one of the main, when his club and he have been one of the main people to destroy their own domestic league, right? So that's one part of it. Then you've got Real Madrid's president, Florentino Perez, who's the chair, who's the chairman or the president, whatever they call it. I can't even be bothered to think about titles, by the way. But yeah, president, chair, whatever of this European Super League. By the way, Real Madrid and Barcelona are the key people who have destroyed La Liga with their individual TV rights agreements that they had, which when La Liga was, Serie A was one of the richest leagues and one of the best leagues in the world in the 90s and early 2000s. That was then overtaken in the late 2000s. The La Liga became sort of the best league, but then they had all these individual TV right agreements that came into place, and by the mid 2010s, La Liga was no longer the best. You could, today La Liga is not the best league in the world by any such imagination. It's not. It's just not. But they destroyed that league, and they destroyed the competitiveness of the league, by the way, just so that Barcelona and Real Madrid could always qualify for Champions League and could be the only ones fighting for titles, or Atletico challenge and bottle aside. But so they did that. So that guy is now the person, one of those people is on the chair of this league. So again, you look at the names that are in there, and then you've got Joel Glazer of Manchester United, who's another vice chair. And I mean, the Premier League, thankfully, is still sort of competitive, has been competitive, even though they've tried their best to dismantle it, it's been competitive. This year has been very, very competitive, at least in terms of top four race. The title race was a foregone conclusion. But you've got Joel Glazer, who's a leech, who's a well-known leech, who has sucked the club dry for Manchester United. He's completely distorted the finances of it, and he's now vice chair of the league as well. I mean, who are it's just question, who are these people who are running? They're not football minds that are running this shit show. It's not. They're not football minds. They're business minds. They're corporate minds, right? I mean, if you put in, say, Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, or Sir Alex Ferguson, or Allegri, or Carlo Ancelotti, people like that, if you put people like that in charge of a league, fair enough. Footballing minds, they understand what's needed to be done, they can do it, fair enough. You put them in charge, great, awesome, wonderful. right? You've got these guys who are corporate minds who are running this shit show. I mean, what's up with that? What is it about? What, what is their point beyond just looking out for their own self-interest? And there isn't, right? It's just self-interest, and yet, you get people who are supporting it. You're hearing things about people supporting them, and it's always about, it's about money, right? And how much money do people need? Like, how much more do you need? They're talking about 20 million euros, right? Is what you get, and that's not enough. But these guys are going to now make 3.5 billion euros. I mean, what difference does that make? I mean, is making 100 million euros, is that not enough for someone? I mean, give me 100 million euros. I'd run it. I'd be a Super League person. I mean, give me 100 million euros. I would not have to do these kind of things. Right? I would not be able to make videos or stuff like that, right? Or trying to do something. But I mean, people go their whole life without earning that kind of money ever. And yet for them, 100 million euros is not enough. They need 3.5 billion euros because that's what they need, because that's what the world needs. uh, Anyway, it's madness. But talking about the impact, so how is this going to impact leagues? And I think a lot of people are like, well, it's good for the league, it's good for domestic football. It's not good for domestic football, and or grassroots football. The fact is, the 12 clubs, they still want to play in the domestic leagues. But what domestic league would you really want these six clubs? And I'll go Premier League centric here. I'll just go Premier League centric for a second, although I know there are going to be other clubs. But these six clubs are going to make 3.5 billion euros on their deal, right? That's what they're going to make. They're going to make a guaranteed 3.5 billion euros. Whereas the other clubs, even if they do qualify for the Champions League, they're going to make what, 100, 200 million euros, maybe. That financially distorts the league. So now you've got these six teams that have got all this cash to burn. They've got a competition that's going to give them a lot of money. So that competition, the European Super League, is going to be their priority. So what they're going to do is they're going to buy up all the talent that they can and make the Premier League a second-rate competition. The Premier League will be sort of like the cups, and the European Super League will be the big deal. So it'll be like a six-team mini competition among themselves to see how many trophies they can win, whether they can win the European Super League, whether they can win the Premier League. What are the other teams fighting for? Nothing. They're fighting for scraps, right? I mean, Leicester had the audacity this season to challenge them, and they probably might end up getting a top four spot. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But what's going to happen now is that they're going to tell Wesley Fofana, they're going to tell Soyuncu, they're going to tell Iheanacho, Telemans, they're going to say, you know what, you can stay at Leicester, you can make, your 150, 100 grand a week, and, you can play in Champions League, or you can come to us, we will give you 200 grand a week because we've got that money to burn. So we'll give you 200 grand a week and you can play in the European Super League with us. And, what player is going to choose what, when you throw money at them, what is the player going to choose? Morality is great. And I'm not naive. I know morality is great, and all, but people don't listen to morality. I mean, that doesn't work. And I get that. I know that. So I don't, nobody's going to blame you for taking the money. So that's what's going to happen. So what happens to the league then? The Leicesters, the West Hams, the Evertons, they're just not going to be able to compete at that level. And you've got these six teams that are going to be competing at that level with all that money that they've got, and they're going to be, the Premier League will be decimated. They can't throw out the six. If they throw out these six teams, which again, morality wise, yes, you throw out these six teams. That's what needs to be done. Is throw them out, not let them play, because the league's integrity is damaged. If you have these six teams playing in there and hovering up everybody else, it just destroys the integrity of the league, because the Leicesters and the Evertons know that there's no point in competing, because if they have players, by miracle, they have players who get good enough. Even if they finish in the top four, what's the incentive, right? You either got to finish first or you finish seventh. And it's the same thing, because the other six have already got their own competition that they're participating in. So what's the incentive? There's really nothing. And then you've got these teams, and even they have somehow developed good players, they're not going to be able to keep them. The Super League guys will be like, hey, you know what, that's a good player, let's buy him, right? So that's what's going to happen. And so the Premier League is going to suffer with revenues. Obviously, you would want to kick out the six teams, but can you kick out this? Can you afford to kick out the six teams? If I was the president or whatever, and money was not insured, I'd be like, yes, screw them, kick them out of the team. I would. But would the morality is one thing. Would the league want to do it? Probably not. Maybe UEFA will force them. They might do it. But what does that mean financially? I mean, the TV rights are going to be low, right? They're not going to get the TV rights that they want. So that's going to affect the rest of the clubs that probably are budgeted for their money already. What are they're going to get less money. Now keep in mind, less money is not a bad thing, right? Less money is not a bad thing. I think clubs are overpaid as it is. I think players are overpaid as it is. I think football in general suffers from too much money as an issue anyway. But for many of these clubs, they've already budgeted those high things, high costs and high expenses. So what are they going to do? And then what about the championship clubs that want to get in the Premier League just to get that money? they probably will suffer as well. And then you've got these League One, League Two clubs that rely on Premier League clubs to buy their players. They won't be able to buy those players because they don't have the money. So it's a cascading effect. There's a cascading effect that goes across England, and I'm sure it's the same in any other league. I mean, same with La Liga, same with Serie A, right? And eventually, I do expect Bayern and PSG will also join that league. I think they will. They're taking a stand right now morally, but guess what? They will once they see that the benefits are there. It's all about the money. See, the thing is, if the league is allowed to start, the only thing that they can do right now, UEFA can do, is to stop that league from happening. Whatever means they need to do, they need to stop it from happening if they're serious about stopping it, right? They need to stop it because once it runs, even if it has a moderately successful first season, people are going to see that they'll be like, you know what, there's money there, let's go there, right? People follow the money. That's the way it goes. And so that's what's going to happen. And once you get a few people involved, that's all that it takes. And everything else just falls into place. So that's the thing. But I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, so what are the reasons why, through all this long diatribe we've gone through, what are the reasons why we hate the, sorry, there's somebody looking up, I should have closed the window. um One of the reasons why we love football and why we love this game is because of the enjoyment that it provides us, the unpredictable nature of it, the fact that there's something at stake, in theory, at least in every game. There's a relegation battle, there's a top four battle, there's a title battle, there's a Europa League battle sometimes as well. There's all of these different things that are supposed to come into place. And once you start closing things, once you start saying that only certain teams can make it, and no matter how good you are, you're never going to make it to that position in your season. You're never going to get there. It just creates that effect that, you know what, it's whatever we do, it's not enough, right? And players, you start to lose people because of that. You start to lose fans, you start to lose an audience. I mean, there's all sorts of things. The final point that I do want to make is that it's no coincidence that the people that are pushing for this are American owners from England. And five of the six teams are owned by Americans. And we all know how the American sporting system works. It's a franchise system where no matter how shit you are, no matter how bad you are, you still get to keep your place in the league. You still get to play every season. And sometimes you get rewarded for having a bad season with, draft picks and all of that stuff. So it's no surprise that through all of that they want that system as well. The domestic league money is nothing compared to what the clubs could make in Europe. That's a fact, right? I mean, it's a fact that European football is still largely untapped potential. And the reason for that is because the game has been very protected with competitiveness, competition. That's all there, right? And I understand the monetary reasons for wanting that, but the fact is you have got to respect the competition. You've got to respect the fact that every team can have a chance, and you've got to play the fair process, which is not what these guys want. These guys want sort of guaranteed system where every season United are going to play Barcelona, United are going to play Real Madrid, Arsenal are going to play Juventus, Arsenal are going to play Bayern Munich, whoever, right? And I know Bayern Munich are not in it, but I'm just giving you a theory here is that they want that, they need that, and they feel that that is the best way to go. It's not Arsenal playing Burnley. They don't see Arsenal playing Burnley as a big deal. They don't see Arsenal playing Newcastle as a big deal. No, those are not the games. The marquee games are the ones that they want. But the trouble is, Arsenal don't qualify for the Champions League to play Barcelona every season. Spurs don't qualify for the Champions League every season to play Real Madrid every season. But they want that. And the only way to do that is to have a guaranteed closed shop league. So that's what they want, is they want a situation where they can play them every season. Because on paper, that's still a big game, right? Man United against Real Madrid is a big game. Man United against Juventus or Milan is a big game. It was a big game in the Europa League because, it's two names that are battling against each other. That's what they see. They don't see it as two shit teams playing each other. They see themselves as two top teams that are going to go against each other. And with the extended money that they have, they can all buy top players and they can all play each other. But football is cycle, sport is cyclical. So in that cycle, when they do go on a trough, they don't want to miss out on that. They still want those games. They still want to play those games. And that's the reason. And I see that for me, that is where this league is going to end up. That's where this is going to go. If you talk about the future of the European Super League, which I don't think I've touched on, but I think that's what this is going to become, is that the Super League is going to sort of be like the NFL or the NBA, like a franchise European league where you'll have 20 teams starting out with playing sort of each other, and then it will slowly, as teams start catching on, as more teams want to become part of it, as other teams, maybe some teams might emerge and become better. They'll bring them in. They'll be like, let's do a franchise expansion. So they'll have 21, 22, 23, 24 teams. They won't relegate anyone. They won't let anyone out. They might have 5 or 6 spots like as merited spots just to give an illusion, and those probably will be decided through competitions or things like that. So they might be like, well, let's have the six domestic winners, come into the and play this year, and then like that, from smaller leagues, like Sweden or Croatia or things like that. Will be like, yeah, let's have those guys come in and play for a season, like with us. But these 12, 20, 25, 30 spots will always be there for us. And so that's what they want. And eventually it'll be like a franchise. Like it'll be like the European Super League franchise where Man United will never get relegated no matter how shit they are. Arsenal will never get relegated no matter how shit they are. Milan will never get relegated how shit they are. What does that mean for domestic leagues? Well, domestic leagues will become like minor leagues, like how you have all these other minor leagues. So there'll be like a minor league competition where the B team players will play in those competitions from these clubs. So because there are big squads, so they'll have to play them somewhere. So they'll play them in that game. If you're good enough there, you then play for the main for the in the ASL teams. Sometimes if the ASL players are not informed, then they play in that one. So it'll sort of be like that. The cup competitions, domestic cups. Who knows whether those will even happen anymore with these teams? No one really knows. They might have them, and they'll probably have them. Have the same thing with B team players and A team players mixing together. So it's sort of going to become like a tiered level. That's I think that is the goal for the European Super League, is for the Super League to be the top franchise league, and then the domestic league to sort of be the minor league, minor level, and then the domestic cups to be sort of like collegiate level competitions or things like that, where you mix the first teamers with the academy players and you kind of do it that way. I think that is the ultimate goal for them, and that's where I think the end game will probably be. That it won't happen tomorrow, it won't happen in a year, that will probably happen a decade from now, 5 years, a decade from now, but it will happen. That's the goal. And eventually promotion relegation will be a thing of the past, and maybe only for the minor leagues you'll have like the promotion relegation, and the idea will be that those teams will fight it out there, and that's the way it goes. There's talk of solidarity payments for the rest of the league. I mean, that to me just BS. I mean, to give you an example, the coronavirus pandemic happened, and Premier League clubs, I think, spent over £1 billion combined in transfer fees last season. They spent over £1 billion, right? And not and the lower league clubs asked for 100 million, 200 million something, and they didn't want to give them that. They didn't even want to give them that. So the clubs are looking out for their own self-interest. They're not interested in solidarity payments or anything of that sort. Out of the 3.5 billion euros, they'll probably throw 200 million euros maybe at their way, maybe 300. But that's a drop in the ocean, right? I mean, what is 200 million euros and 3.5 billion euros? Somebody can do the math and tell me. I could probably do it as well. It's not a lot, is it? It's not even 10%. 200 million euros is not even 10% of that, right? And I know somebody will be like, well, it's not the club's job. No, it's not. It's not the club's job to take care of the other clubs. It's definitely not. But that's why we have regulatory bodies. That's why regulatory bodies are the ones who control the competitions. That's why they're the ones who are supposed to look after the interests. Because even if the regulatory bodies are corrupt, even if they are full of money grabbing leeches, and then they are, by the way, UEFA and FIFA definitely are. This is not a situation where I'm saying that they are saints or a billion people. They're not. They're corrupt. They're absolutely corrupt. But at least they have a vested interest in making sure that the game survives in some form, because that's how they make their money. So at least there'll be a certain small percentage of care taken for those clubs, even if it is very tiny. There will be. Individual clubs have no reason to care about the smaller clubs. They have no reason to care about what happens to domestic game, as long as they can get the talent that they want to get. And maybe they will introduce a collegiate draft system. That means something like an academy draft system. So basically, they'll have like private academies all over, and then those academies are the ones that are going to provide the players, and they'll just take players from there. So there's all sorts of things that can happen from here. I mean, there's so many different things that can happen. I do believe that is the ultimate. That I don't know where it's going to go, but I do believe the ultimate vision is sort of Americanize it a bit in terms of how the sporting structure will be. I think that is the goal, the eventual goal. Whether it will get there, we don't know. I don't know. But I think that's the idea. I don't know for sure. I'm not saying the idea that this is I have an inside scoop. I don't. But I think that's the end game that they're all planning towards. So tell me your views. Tell me, what do you think? I'm sure there are people out there that I know people that are pro Super League. So tell me, what do you think? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Do my arguments make sense? I mean, they make sense to me, but do they make sense to you? Do you think that there's something else that we are missing? I mean, are there things that we're looking at? I mean, the one final point that I will make, and I remember Ed Woodward saying this, right? I mean, and I was reading my memory. He refused to pay £100 million for Jadon Sancho, because he said, and I quote, that it'd be immoral for us to talk about such sums when people are suffering in the pandemic. He said that, right? And yet a few days later, we all found out that the Glazers still took their 40 million pounds or 30 million pounds. I don't remember. I think it was 40 million pounds in dividend payments. So they still took their 40 million pounds in payments. They weren't going to put money in to improve the team. Now they're going to get more money. Do you really think, does anyone really think that? And I'm talking about United because that's the one, and I'm sure Kroenke is the same. I'm sure, Perez, all these guys are the same. And Barcelona's owners were hilariously incompetent at leaving the club in a bankruptcy state. So I mean, just so when I'm talking about United, just because I'm a United fan, and stop putting this out there, this is a club, and this is a person who's supposed to be the vice chair of this league. By the way, do you really think he cares about the club? Do you really think he cares about on-field success, or does he care about making money? And this person is someone who's put in charge of the league. So what does the league stand for then? Does it stand for footballing excellence, or does it stand for financial excellence? So as a fan, that's a decision that you've got to make as well. Like, the one thing that I always see is the fact that fans are saying, "Well, there's a lot more money." Well, yes, there's more money. Of course, there's more money. That's the thing. But what does it do for you as a fan? I mean, them making more money, how does that help you? Unless they're going to giving away free team jerseys for you to wear the stands, what difference does it make that they're going to make 3 billion euros more? They're not cutting any of us any checks. They're not cutting any of us any checks. For our support, they're not. So let's not pretend like money is some big deal for us as fans. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section. But, I know there's a lot of pro Super League views out there, so share that. I would love to listen to that. I'm happy to listen to that, and I'm happy to have a debate on that as well if anybody ever wants to do that. But we haven't even gotten into Jose Mourinho sacking, but maybe we'll do a video tomorrow about that one. Maybe I'll do one for that tomorrow. I think today is not the day to talk about that. But let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you for watching. Please remember to smash a like or comment, or obviously subscribe to the channel if you're new. And we'll try to be more consistent. It's been a very difficult time, but I'll try to be more consistent with the videos. But your subscription definitely helps, right? It makes me want to do more. So also subscribe, and I can do more videos. But thank you for watching. Take care. Have a good day. Bye bye.